No, you don't know its difference. It's the only difference here is item level. In Wrath of the Lich King, I remember there's a thing called Gear Score. It's a very old add-on. If you wanted to do certain dungeons and raids, you needed to have certain level gear score, and you couldn't say, "Oh, I have this gear score level." People could see what gear score level you had, if memory served. After they did add in for later on, Wrath of the Lich King dungeons, the heroics and whatnot, heroics and dungeons, the Ice Crown Cathedral ones, they added in there due to the popularity of gear score. That way you couldn't have someone who's, equipped in, like this gear joining in your level 80 heroic and whatnot. You actually have people in good level gear. Blizzard then continued it on from late Wrath of the Lich King onto everything else, which is fair enough. It's easy enough to reach the gear levels. Just when you're gearing up, do for dungeons and heroics, just do all your quests. The moment you're done your quests, you're ready for heroics. Maybe toss on some crafted gear, and you're fine. You're hunky-dory, you're dandy, you're tits. For raids, just run a ton of heroics. Get a better crafted gear. It's easy enough, just a bit time consuming. We Rangers of the Farsighter Retreat are dedicated to setting right the damage that has been wreaked upon our fair lands. We'll go to any length to do so. I trust that you returned with the Merloc heads I've tasked you to gather. A job well done, mate. By the smell of it, I say you returned with all that I asked for, and possibly more. I'm sure we can find some use for these, in a stew or some such. Alas, it does not appear your efforts have done the trick. The Merlocs are not in retreat. This calls for more action. I forgot about this. I knew there was a quest to kill the guy, but I thought you got it after you killed him. Like to turn it in and say, "Oh, I killed so-and-so." The Ring of Merloc. The Grimskill Merlocs have not been scared off by your efforts, but I think I know what will send them packing, as well as get me some personal retribution. David Merloc chieftain calls himself Merloc. It wanders the Golden Strand south of the river inlet. The beast once slew a compatriot of mine, and now bears his ring in open defiance and mockery. Slay Merloc, and bring back my friend's ring. Then we'll see these monsters cowed. There's a weapon increase. Slightly used Ranger's Blade.
Farewell.
Alright. I'll just go gather the herb, and we'll continue on. The Blood Elf male models look so weird. Like, look at that. His face looks like it's made of butter. Okay, I think it buffed out a little there. Like it actually properly rendered. I know, it suddenly looks a tad better. No longer has a butter face. Whatever that is. Okay, I'm one level away from being level 10. And originally I was going to, with this character being called Medea, I was going to make her a fire mage. But I think I might go frost. Certainly will make the level 80 enemy later on easier. They're a group mission, but I can't get a group together, so I'm going to have to solo it. Frost mages get a elemental companion, a water elemental, to help them out. So I'll get the other herbs on the way back. So having that would help me out greatly. You think I could see enemies from further away than I could, but on high, but apparently not. Like, my view distance is fairly up, but I can't see enemies greatly. Like, that well. It's not really tarnished and slimy. Fear. Run, 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 run! Okay, just keep working the spine. I'm sure I don't need that. Oh, I just remembered something there. Taverncast, for those who don't know, a podcast. They haven't been releasing much lately. Once every few months. And they've only started, for like a year or more, they hadn't been releasing anything. So, this started like mid to late last year, and then released another one a bit after. Haven't been keeping up to date though, so maybe they've released another one this year. I don't know. This is as of time of recording. Remember, the 8th of April. I mass record, keeping this in mind. This has been the best one in ages. But anyway, I finished the Torn one earlier, did the Trolls, and did this. It's brilliant. But anyway, they were like the second World of Warcraft podcast out there. The only one they got World of Warcraft podcast. Sorry, the only one they got beaten out by was World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft, the podcast. They got beaten out by that by a week. I like them, though some of their lore thing was inaccurate from what I think I found out. But still, regardless, I find their personality-wise quite interesting. And some of their spin-off episodes where they did a few Halloween episodes and different things, I found them very interesting and fun to listen to. They've been doing different things recently, though I haven't been listening to them. I've been meaning to get back to them, but it's just I keep putting them off because I haven't listened to them so long. It's like, oh, I'm worried that they won't live up to my memory of it. Certainly, I've had issues with podcasts like this before. They haven't been doing well in quite a while. They stopped a good while back. World of Warcraft is also over now, and they went on for quite a bit longer, dedicated to WoW. Sadly, they're over, though the podcaster on that, if you like him, is still doing a new one. He's gone through quite a few co-hosts. He started off with, I don't remember the guy's name. He started off with a friend of his, then moved on to Renata for quite a while. Quite a few years, I won't say years with her. Then he moved back to Alachia, who wasn't really liked by the World of Warcraft community for whatever reason. I don't know why. Then he moved on to back to his friend, and then to the one more person, and who saw the series out. They stayed around for a couple months to a year or more. I never kept track. I stopped listening ages ago, and that was it. So yeah,
we will persevere.
He went through quite a few, but he was there for every episode. Actually, I think there was a few where Renata was there for them solely by herself. I think there was like her episodes, but I don't know. Maybe he was still there for them in some capacity. I don't know. But there was a good podcast. Another one I was listening to, and they're still going, is, though they do more general gaming and news, is Analog Hole Gaming. I haven't listened to them in years when Cataclysm came out, because I was waiting around the collector's edition my auntie bought to come from Amazon, and it was taking weeks. It was around Christmas time. So as the post got delayed it. And so because I was waiting like 2 weeks to get it, I was like, no, I want to play. So I got I just bought a copy in town, and I started playing it. I just got my Mac new, so I had no idea how to loot. The right key wouldn't work. You have to set it up in settings on Macs. It's not on by default, unlike with Windows. I didn't want to listen because they were playing and I couldn't, and I was jealous. So I never got back to it ever since then, even though that's been years. So yeah, they're another good show, and they release once every so often. I don't know how frequent they are, and their episodes typically go on for a few hours, an hour or more, and they talk more general news. They swear quite heavily, so if you can't listen to me, you certainly can't listen to them. I don't know if they've any annoying times. There's one podcast I'm thinking of. It's Davos's Fingers. Great podcast. Song of Ice and Fire podcast. Would highly recommend it. Except every so often they go full moron. For those who know that phrase, insert the correct word. I feel awkward using it just purely Blizzard want to keep this team friendly. While I've sworn heavily, I know people get touchy about that word. But yeah, they go full Muppet every so often. For example, I'll keep this quick, then I'll continue with this, and I'll take a drink then. A character says, "Oh, poison is a tool." This is Grandmaster Pycelle, by the way. It says, "Poison is a tool of cravens, eunuchs, and women." This reflects badly on George R. Martin. And it doesn't sound like they're making a joke or something. She sounds serious. She says, George R. R. Martin redeems himself by having strong female characters that use weapons. Of course, these are use swords later on. Of course, this is an early episode. Maybe they cop on later on. I don't know. I've been having difficulty getting through them. I've actually stopped listening to them recently and went back to Filmsec, who also randomly says stupid shit, like implying there's a black perspective. There's no perspective based on race, like skin color. Certainly, your perspective is based off of a few factors. Your experiences being one of them, and a few just how you react to things is another. Like two people may have the exact same experiences, but they won't have the same perspective. What you learn, how you react to things, your personal philosophies and whatnot, all have an influence on how you shape your perspective. So it's weird, you know? That's a weird statement, but regardless, Davos's fingers make statements like the thing with Pycelle. They also make statements like when and it's mainly the gal on it, though the guys may agree or get in on it themselves. I don't know, but anyway, she made another statement early on saying, and I don't remember the later on statement. I just remember being idiotic. The early on statement was when Arya's water dancing trainer calls her boy, and she corrects him saying, "No, I'm a girl," and he's like, "Oh, swords don't care. You know, they can't tell the difference." They questioned them. What was the point of that? What was the point of that in exchange? Like, why did he call her that if it ultimately didn't matter? You could theorize various things. Like, I suggest, I don't know the character. I haven't read far into books. I was trying to read it, but someone wouldn't be quiet when I was trying to read, so I was like, open the book, they would start talking, I'll close the book. They would eventually stop talking when they're done their point. I'd open, and we're like done the conversation, I'd open the book, they'd start talking again, so I was like, fuck it. Someone's been sexually assaulted by their brother here, I'm just like, to hell with it. It's hard to focus on it. But anyway, the person doesn't go for any suggestion. They go misogyny. When someone suggests maybe they're just giving her shit for, because they're a student, maybe when he's training guys, he calls them girls. This situation was basically inversed. They take that and say that's also misogyny, as it's making girls out to be a bad thing to be. The situation was inversed. Somehow insulting guys, making guys out to be a bad thing to be, is misogyny, is a hatred of women. Generalization or, negative things aimed at women. Insulting guys is. It's like punching Ted and claiming you're really assaulting Alice. Or someone else coming in and claiming you're assaulting Alice. Only Alice being assaulted herself is actually acknowledged. I'm sorry for ranting about this, it's just idiocy irritates me. I don't suffer fools gladly. And a lot of these fools, remember the fighting sexism with more sexism? It's just that kind of logic, though I don't know if she's an example of it. That kind of logic is just, it feels so in line with that kind of, with the logic in both cases just feeling so in line that they get under my skin, twice as much or as much as they were getting, So apologies about that, but they had kind of great analysis, great observations, like in the prologue. This is going to be spoilery here. Like in an early, sorry, not after prologue, in the first Ned chapter when, no, actually was it? No, I believe it was a John chapter, when they're getting the pups as kids, the direwolf pups when they're young. The Sorry, my mind got distracted, and I'm suddenly thinking of, oh, I remember having a sandwich when I was young. It was like some meat sandwich, and it tastes delicious. There's mayonnaise on it. It's lovely. And it's just like, I'm trying to think of stuff here, brain. I know you're hungry, but fuck off. When they're just getting the pups, they find a direwolf killed by a stag, or what looks like it could be a stag. The sigil of House Baratheon is a stag. The sigil of House Stark is a direwolf. The act of Robert asking Ned to be his hand led to the fall of Starks. Is what one of the stepping stones in it. So you could see foreshadowing and symbolism in that. George R. R. Martin does this thing heavily, to the point where people are seeing small similarities point at bigger things, and they may or may not be true. J plus R equals L. Sorry, R plus L equals J. Look that up if you want to know. I won't spoil any more. But there are certain small little details throughout the text, maybe even some larger ones, that people are looking at to see as evidence for this. Well, as you'll see if you look into it. So it's just his writing. There's also a lot of foreshadowing, like characters foretelling the future, like Patchface. He foretold the Red Wedding, though you only can tell it looking back. There's a certain short woman. She also foretold the rising of Lady Stoneheart, who isn't in the TV series. I won't spoil her either, but she foretold her reappearing on the scene. It's a new name for a character you knew since early on in the books. But anyway, certainly the podcast can have great analysis, a chapter by chapter summary that's spoiler free until the very end, where they have Davos After Dark. And it's great. The podcast I really enjoy it. I would say it's 8 or 9 out of 10. Except, they end up feeling like they're rushing it a little with the whole, like, oh, we're running out of time, we got to move on to the next topic, or, we're going on along a bit here. I would like to see all they have to say, unless they'll just end up repeating the same points over and over again. And, I know I do that sometimes. When I'm talking, I just end up repeating the same point. Certainly that can be useful for emphasis, but I say it as if it's a new point, If that's just what they're trying to avoid by keeping themselves to a strict time limit, that's fine. If they're short on time and can't spend ages recording, that's fine as well. It's just, I end up feeling that, they're not saying as much as they could or want to. But I would have to dock it to like 5. Maybe somewhere from a 4 to a 6. Because of those moments where they just like go, where they have a major brain fart, but just because it gets so under my skin. If you can take it, I would highly recommend take that brain fubbery. I would highly recommend it. Highly. It's a great podcast when they're competent. When they're silly, it's not. And maybe I'm misinterpreting them, at least in the Grandmaster Pycelle case, where his lines reflect poorly on George R. R. Martin. Though certainly a lot of people do think representation equals basically means the person condones what the action. So if there's a rape in, like, say for example, George R. R. Martin has rape in their books, to take that logic further, he condones rape. He doesn't. Yeah, as far as I know, he's a sensible human being and not an idiot. So if there's murder in a book, like Stephen King obviously condones murder by this logic. He doesn't. He's not an idiot. You see where I'm going. These are hypotheticals. No one sue me. These are hypotheticals to prove how moronic this is. Because I may make up a story on the spot about, oh, this so-and-so, Ari the bigot, was a bigot, doesn't mean I condone bigotry. Just because I say, oh, this Sarah, the pink lover, loves pink, doesn't mean Sarah exists or loves pink. Nor does it mean I like pink. I'm ambivalent. You see where I'm going here. It's that kind of logic that's quite silly. It's also, I would imagine, quite lethal to the creative process, because you can't imagine a character without condoning their every action, which is not a good thing. Certainly though, if you're speaking through the character, trying to make a point via your stories, then that's another thing. But of course, if you're just making a story for a story's sake, or maybe not for a story's sake, but without trying to impart some great morals.